College for letting me use this classroom to present my capstone project tonight. I would also like to thank Media Services for being here tonight and setting up this mic. And also for Dining Services for the lovely reception afterwards. I would also like to thank my support person, Caitlin, in the back over there. Without her help in planning tonight's presentation and making sure that everything was ready logistically with the program and setting up the room, it would have been very stressful to try and do it all myself. So thank you, Caitlin. And I would also like to thank my fellow English majors that are spread out in this room tonight. It has been an honor working with each and every one of you over the past 4 years. It has truly been a roller coaster, but I couldn't imagine the ride without each of you. I'd also like to thank Matthew for his constant encouragement and unconditional support throughout this semester with all the stress and constant, just maybe, I don't want to say breakdowns, but you know, moments like that, trying to write this capstone and perfect it. I would also like to thank Sarah Winnicky for helping me find my poetic voice in her poetry writing 1 class a few years ago. And to my advisor, Dinah Ryan, thank you so much for your support and guidance these past few years. And although it seemed like our schedules were competing against each other all semester, I am truly grateful for the back and forth emails, the last minute Zoom meetings, and it truly helped me perfect my craft tonight. So thank you. And you have not only helped me, but you've also been such an inspiration to how I approach my writings. And so I just want to say thank you so much for everything you've taught me these past few years. So now for my artist statement. This past year, I've been studying attachment theory, which was developed by John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth. This theory has been an important part of my education because it provides a better understanding of the type of relationships and attachments that humans develop throughout their lives. Attachment theory states that there are 4 main attachment styles, but for the sake of time, I'm not going to dive into each of these because we would be here for a while. So, this theory of understanding human relationships focuses on the type of attachments that humans develop throughout their lives for the purpose of helping individuals develop and strengthen healthy relationships. I began writing about my experiences with my grandfather. I was inspired to write because of his unconditional love and the way he showed that love to me. When he got sick back in 2010, I learned for the first time what it was like to feel heartbreak, loss, and grief. Tonight, I will begin my poetry reading with a piece entitled My Special Friend. And this was written when I was 10 years old, so bear with me when I dive into it. After reading My Special Friend, I will then read Purple Butterfly, which is a newer piece about my grandfather that I wrote within the past year. There's over a 10-year difference between these 2 pieces. I wanted to start my reading with My Special Friend because it is significant in my writing journey. You will see how much has changed in terms of my creative development as a poet and writer, as well as how much I've grown as a poet and scholar since I wrote that piece at the age of 10, especially the way my capstone shows this growth through my college education. The rest of my poems here are curated pieces I wrote while in college, but especially within the past year or so. Many of the poems tonight I will be reading are mirror pairs. They're written about mother-daughter relationships, good and bad romantic relationships, and about parents. After hitting a wall with my writing, someone suggested I look back at some of my sadder pieces I've written the past few years and write a mirror version of them to make them happier. So that's what I ended up doing. So let's begin. Oh, really quickly. The programs in front of you, they have the title of my capstone, The Lights of Attachment. And the lights that I will be touching on in each of my pieces are the love, the intimacy, the growth, the heartbreak, the truth, and self. And that is something I worked with this entire semester. my special friend. Your days will come to an end, then nothing will be left of you but your spirit. Sometimes I think my days have come to an end. How about you? Have you ever felt like your special friend will soon be gone? I have. My name is Caroline Bumbaugh. I'm 10 years old. My special friend is my grandpa. My grandpa has lung cancer. He has had it for, well, no one really knows how long he has had it. We just know he has it, and he has had it for more than 4 months. My grandpa is my special friend because since I was born, I've been able to stay there with him and my grandma. I picked him, not only because he's sick, but he taught me to play the piano. He didn't just teach me. Him and my grandma actually talked me into playing the piano. My grandpa is just very special to me. So if anything happens to him, I will never stop loving him. If something does happen to him, he'll be up there with God watching over me. This poem is for my grandpa who has lung cancer. My grandpa hasn't been able to get up lately. I'm just really worried about him right now. Purple butterfly. She, a delicate child, born with a broken wing, unable to flourish and fly like those around her. What can she do with a broken wing? You're broken, you can't fly, but you can live. In need of a mentor, a friend, someone, her grandfather showed her the way. How not to merely survive, but to live and heal and fly. It wasn't her wing, but her perspective of herself that was broken. Old, tender, and wise, his wrinkled caramel skin glowed in the sun. Big round glasses framed his freckled face and gray mustache. He saw what others couldn't see. He believed she could fly and soar across the lands, above the seas and cities, through the deserts and mountains. Memories still live in her head. Days of sitting out on the porch, he telling her stories under the old maple tree, watching the purple butterflies. Days spent indoors sitting on the old hard bench playing the piano. Flashes of June's summer night still haunt her. Even after all these years, she can't shake the image, holding his cold purple hand, tears streaming down her face, shattered as he took his last breath. She was a delicate child born with a broken wing, and she healed. He broke more than a wing. He couldn't heal. She soars across lands and seas because of him. In his honor, she continues to grow and fly. As he once did, she does now, as his purple butterfly. Before I read the next one, the next couple pieces are mirror pairs, and so they will complement each other. Sunday leave. Sunday nights, she would leave her children, pack her bags, and put on her bright red lipstick. She loved the money more than her children. She lived for the neon lights and spinning wheels, taking a turn on every machine, hoping to win the jackpot. The children woke each Monday morning to their father sipping coffee from his blue No. 1 dad mug. The chairs were never full, a placemat always missing. The children always asked when their mom would be back. When she loses it all was the answer they always received. She always came back, never a smile on her face. Black Calvin Klein purse on her shoulder, heels in her hand, exhausted. Her complexion shallow, never a smile. Her almond eyes barely open. She dragged her small body to bed. Greeted by her children, she'd push them away in disgust. When Sunday came again, she would leave again, becoming a mother who became a memory. Sunday mornings. Saturday afternoons with you were always my favorite. We'd get up early and you'd take me to the laundromat. Sometimes we'd go out and get French toast for breakfast while we waited for our clothes. Then we'd have a contest of who can fold the fastest, but you'd always let me win. I'd wake up Sunday mornings to the smell of freshly made pancakes. They always sat at my spot at the table when I emerged from my room. I'd always get to the table before my brother. It was always the three of us, and we didn't know where Mom was half of the time. You told us not to worry. I remember the day you told us Mom wasn't coming home. You changed when she left us. I watched as you slowly succumbed to sadness. You had to be a parent alone. Working 5 days a week, you always came home tired, but you were never tired of us. You looked over our homework, played catch in the backyard, and always asked about our day. When the weekend came again, you would stay with us always, becoming a father who gave his all to make sure we felt loved and wanted. Seasonal damage. A familiar face comes back. Every fall, the trees fill with reds, oranges, and yellows. When the winter comes, the leaves disappear. But when spring comes, the green leaves appear, lighting up in vibrant rays again. Like the change of seasons, we stand apart. I am the summer breeze that appears out of nowhere, but is needed when it comes. The winter is cold, harsh, and unforgiving. You are the winter breeze that appears out of nowhere, but brings an ache when it comes. We are the changing of the seasons, the leaves blooming and falling, the rising and descending sun. We are the light and darkness of the tomorrow that comes again. You are the back that I watch, disappearing into the crowds of people as the seasons begin to merge and change. Seasonal repair. A drop in the water doesn't change the flow. The water continues to flow in ceaseless waves. For the first time in months, he felt like that drop of water. He was the seasonal damage of my past. In summer, I found my peace without him. This fall brought a new awakening, a new romance, a fresh start. Fall brought me change. He who showed up in my life was here to stay. The start of something new. He was it. Now I see the light in all of the seasons that are to come. Fall brought me him. The leaves became something beautiful instead of heartbreaking. Perspective was the key. The fall itself, to trust, to try again, was worth it. In winter, he stayed by my side. I realized then the pain from seasonal damage no longer freezes me. The ache is finally gone. A fire burns within me now. I'm not alone anymore. Spring rains on me, but doesn't bring me down. Instead, it lifts me up, just as he does, as he reaches for my hand to dance. Spinning me around, he is all I can see. His hazel eyes are bringing me in closer. Summer isn't here yet, but I can picture what it'll be. We'll move to the city and start our life together. For the first time, I'm not scared, but I'm excited about my future. The seasonal damage I've endured in the past is one I won't ever be able to forget, but it's one I can let go of. These current seasons are the beginning. Too well. The reality of us was an illusion. I knew you too well. How you hate crowded rooms filled with people. How the taste of peanut butter made you sick. How every scar on your body makes you special. like the scar on your forearm you got playing football at 7. How your hero is and always will be your mom. I've been holding on to what I thought you were, this version of you I created in my head. It wasn't true. When panic attacks came, you held me in your arms. You squeezed me tight. I know how crying makes you uncomfortable. After our fights, you'd give me space. I thought that's what I appreciated. I should have been more cautious of how you spoke to me, but I hate myself for justifying your mistakes. It took 4 years to learn the hard way. God, I thought it was all so romantic. I never really knew you. You could have told me that you never cared. You could have told me that you moved on. You left me feeling like I was crazy. My heart breaks when I think about you. Flashes of you still cross my mind, but now I see you for who you are, not for what I created in my head. Turns out, I didn't know you at all. Thursdays. This fall, on a Monday evening, I knew from the hours we spent talking on the couch that you were going to be in my life to stay. Your eyes, those beautiful hazel eyes, it's so easy to get lost within them. I needed to know more about you, about that scar on your forehead, your family, your favorite food, and everything. Our glances became more than longing stares. They became a gentle touch, a mutual understanding. Thursdays became our designated date night. Each Thursday, you take me somewhere new. First, a Mexican restaurant for our first date, where we talked about the basics of our interests. Then it was pizza at your favorite restaurant, where we opened up to each other about our families. The dates continued. Driving in your truck on the back roads, radio on low so we could hear each other talk, but still hear the music in the background as the rolled down windows brought in the fresh air. I began to fall in love with Thursdays with you. Talking to you at first felt like talking to someone with who I might see myself with. As the talk continued, I felt like I was talking to my best friend. And then it became more. Every day with you feels like a Thursday now. Our love is the Thursdays we spend going out or staying in, talking about everything as we grow closer, and as you hold me close at night and tell me you love me. Our love is more than what meets the eye. Open door. I don't know the happiness you felt the first time you held her. The way she must have fit perfectly in your arms. So small, such a tiny creature. Oh, how she must have made your heart almost explode. But I can imagine the smile that she brought to your face. How your eyes, probably filled with tears, lit up when the people in blue gowns made their way across a small gray room as they wrapped her in a blanket to give to you. Her presence filled the atmosphere with joy. I don't know the pain you must have felt not being able to say goodbye, knowing that you outlived the most beautiful, joyous life you created. I don't know the heartache that still lingers in you as you walk the same paths she did when she was still here. But I imagine she walks next to you. Whether you can feel her or not, I'm sure she's right there. I don't know the sadness that enters your body each time you go home, because home isn't the same without her. It's a bit quieter with her gone. Walking up the stairs, passing by her photo, her room to the left. I don't know how you can still find the courage to walk in there. I remember her smile, her sweet laugh, her kindness as she always said hello. But I know I didn't know her as you did. but I can feel her presence in that house. And now I think I'm beginning to understand why you leave her door open. Hazel. To the future that is constantly changing, time doesn't seem to be on our side right now. Time, when she arrives, please be kind to her. She'll be new and she won't recognize the world at first, but I hope when she opens her sweet little eyes, she'll recognize me as the one who protected her, the one who carried her everywhere with me these past months. When she is old enough, she'll rummage through old articles and photos from the world we grew up in. She'll find photos of us. She'll see where she gets her looks from. She'll see the love shared between us then, and how it's the same love that we share in front of her. A completely unconditional, endless type of love that will last in eternity. She'll come across my old protesting photos from high school, times I skipped classes to march with people who believed in my body, my choice. I fear for her and the world she might grow up in. Will I still be scared of sending her to school? Will she come home crying because she got in trouble for wearing a tank top to school? Will people put limitations on her because of what she looks like? Will people call her dramatic and sensitive just because they can? I want it to be different for her than what it was for me. I want her to feel comfortable in her own skin when she looks in the mirror. I want her to feel safe talking to me, talking to us, and knowing she can ask me anything and everything and I'll answer. I'm terrified I won't be good enough for her, but I will love her with all my heart, and I'll try my very best to be everything she needs. Time, please be good to me. Please be good to us. Please be good to her. I'm just going to interject before I read the next one. The next three pieces, they're not mirror repairs, they're just pieces I really wanted to include in my capstone, so that's why I'm reading them. That December night. When I was young, my grandparents showed me what love was. They showed me that when you love someone, those feelings will never go away. That love is an intense, deep affection for another person. You want to support the one you love and help them accomplish all their hopes and dreams. You want the best for them. You love them, even when they don't make it easy. You love them anyway. And all in unconditional love. The love I never saw my parents have. I'm sure they had that love at some point in their lives, but I don't recall it. I remember an absent mother and a hardworking father. I recall the arguments that probably led to their divorce. The time my mother left me and left my dad. The heartbreak he had experienced changed him and his outlook on love. I've never seen him try to fall in love again. Now, I think about the love that I have today. I dream of our future together. I still think about that December night. It was cold and we were 700 miles apart, but we stayed up late talking till dawn, not wanting to end our call. You had to lay on the floor of your bedroom next to your window just to get enough service to be able to hear and see me on the phone. It seems like we covered every topic. I realized then that this is a type of love people will search their entire lives for. Something blue. When I close my eyes, I see nothing. It's just dark. I open them and I see the sand between my toes sinking down, slowly disappearing underneath the small grains that feel smooth and warm. But as I begin to inch forward, the sand is mushy. I begin to enter into the water. I'm not sure where I am. The water brushing up against me. I look up, out toward the vast ocean blue, and I see endless possibilities. That's how I feel when I look at you. I see endless potential. I see how you've overcome the waves during your time here. I see the struggle and the strength to move forward. I feel your deep breath as we lie together, the type of breath you take before diving headfirst into the water before a wave comes. I close my eyes again. I know I need to take this all in. Imagining the sand falling from my hands, the warm sun against my bare face, and taking a deep breath before we leave. I feel such peace. I know I'm safe with you. You reach for my hand, pull me away from the waves, hold me close, and ask if I'm ready to go home. Picture stories. Pink flowered shirt, missing front tooth, the biggest smile, first grade, laughing and learning how to form sentences. Green flannel shirt, dim eyes losing their sparkle, faking a smile. Fourth grade, my grandfather diagnosed with lung cancer. Metal black glasses, a little taller, not even trying to fake a smile. Sixth grade, didn't have friends, had me. Goodbye glasses, hello contacts, a faint but real smile. Eighth grade, moving between schools and states. Uniforms, those stiff polos, uncomfortable khakis. 10th grade, new friends, new school, harder classes, missing my family. Chopped off my hair, living at a boarding school. 12th grade, broken ankle, no track season, lacking confidence, but happy. 10 piercings later, 1 tattoo and counting, gaining the confidence back, closing in on the end of college, no plans, no ideas for the future. Anyone have any questions?
You mentioned perspective in a couple of poems, and I'm wondering how you see that idea of perspective relating to attachment theory.
Oh, wow. Okay. I think I see it relating to attachment theory because perspective is almost everything when you look at your relationships. Whether the relationship I feel like is, from what I've read, whether it's good or bad, it's how you view it and what your experience is. And so that leads in and ties into your perspective on that specific relationship. Does that answer your question, kind of? Okay.
How do you prepare when you're doing a public reading how do you prepare mentally knowing that you're going to be so vulnerable and expose yourself in such a big way? I'm always curious how people do that.
Well, in all honesty, I didn't do much mental preparation before this. I did a lot of just reading and practicing just what I wanted to say and how I wanted to say it. If I had to say mentally though, writing about my own relationships has always been a very vulnerable state and time for me. and it's something I've done since I was younger, and it's something I still do today. And so I think over time, I mean, sharing it doesn't always get easy, but being able to write about it and starting off with just sharing it with Dinah or a few of my friends, that's how I guess maybe mentally prepare, just starting to show it a little bit. And so being able to read what I read today, yes, I was nervous, but it felt good to be able to share it.
It's very powerful.
Thank you.
Do you plan to publish any of your poetry at some point? Would you like to do that?
That is something I would like to do at some point. Ideally, someday I would love to publish a collection, but I don't think I'm there just yet.
Writing about some of your relationships, is it therapeutic, and does it bring you a little bit of peace, especially the ones having to agree?
It does, yeah. Actually reminds me of an article I read during my period of research. It was on generative processes and how to sort of start your writing. And one of those articles, I couldn't tell you the name of it right now, but I could definitely find it. But basically what it said was the steps in how to just write the vulnerable things. So first you feel it, then you write it, actively writing it down and seeing it in front of you and just acknowledging that that really is what you're feeling right then and there. So yeah, I definitely say it's therapeutic. I definitely write down a lot of my thoughts and feelings, and it helps a lot. Lindsay?
Was that a comment that it seems like an outlet, and I am now sitting here a senior and wishing I took a poetry class. What type of advice would you give to someone who doesn't know much about writing poetry, but might want to?
Reading other people's works, reading poetry, and really just diving in yourself with first reading, and just even doing generative processes like writing down what you feel and why you're feeling that way, I think is a great start, just kind of figuring out the things you do want to say and you do want to share, if you want to share with others. And then maybe when you get a better sense, definitely look at poetry prompts and just things that you can be writing about. That was something I did last semester a lot, was looking at poetry prompts, and it was really fun to challenge myself in that way and to try and write something about whatever the prompt was telling me. So I think that's a really good start there.
Your poetry is certainly relationally authentic, and the research you've done into attachment theory has informed that in a scholarly way. But I know that you have also worked formally with thinking about how your poems can be more beautifully structured or more imagistically rich. So I'd like to hear you talk a little bit for this audience about the kinds of formal things that you have addressed through this capstone.
Yeah.
And how that maybe the revision or rethinking process has been.
I think, so I guess to start, just the process of what I usually use as my form is free verse. I just sort of like to write and just write however I want, structure the way I want, not having a very specific form itself. But this semester especially, with certain pieces, after speaking with Dinah, some of them just didn't seem like they were really fitting or saying a lot in that free verse form. And so way to go about that was diving back into books and reading about the different forms, and it helped. I changed a lot of the lengths in the structure of my pieces. Some of them, I know you couldn't see what it actually looked like, but some of them were sonnets instead of just a really, really long piece of poetry. And that's actually something I want to continue to work on as a poet, is continuing to work with form and to challenge myself to actually write in different forms. And so, yeah, that's something, thank you, Jennifer, for actually bringing that up. It's making me think now. But if anyone would want to look at what the format and structure of some of my pieces were, I do have a copy of all the pieces I've wrote. Well, I didn't write all of them this semester, but pieces I've wanted to put in this chapbook, and some of them have dedications, there were photos, and so if you would like to take a look afterwards, you can. I also have my special friend book I wrote when I was 10. But if you look at that one, please do not judge the illustrations. Did I answer your question?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Can I ask you, I was struck by the first two mirror poems, the one you wrote when you were 10. Did you ever in this process feel a temptation to try to edit that first one, or was it always clear to you you wanted it to stand as it was?
In all honesty, that first piece, my special friend, that one, I haven't really looked at that piece until a few days ago, when all of a sudden I was just like, I think I want to read this. Looking at it now, yes, I would want to change parts of it and edit it, but I think just looking back at that 10-year-old me, it does say a lot about my writing capabilities then versus what they are now. And so, yeah, realistically, I would like to edit it at some point, but for today, I wanted to leave it as is. Any more questions? Thank you all for coming.